This regular meeting of the Navasota City Council is called to order on Monday, the 11th of December in council chambers. Let the record show all council members are present. Welcome and thank you for being here this evening. We ask that you put your cell phones in the silent mode. And visitors, if you would, please sign in. If you wish to speak under visitors' remarks, please fill out the form found in back and state your name and address at the podium. As we must document all meeting business and remarks limited to 3 minutes. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Mac Vaughn, then followed by the pledges.
Yeah, look at all these smiling faces. Ain't it great? Let's pray. Oh, gracious God, we just give you thanks for our fair city and the leadership that's been elected, God. We thank you for our first responders. We thank you for our law enforcement and our health facilities, God. We're really, truly, truly blessed. And we thank you for that. Excuse me. We ask, God, that all of our hearts are heavy because of the Israel and Palestine stuff. We just ask, God, bring peace. Let your spirit rest upon those that are warring away from us, thank God. Give our leadership in Washington a little insight and wisdom, God. Let us get everything settled down and enjoy your peace once again. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item 3, remarks of visitors.
You have one.
Taylor Perry.
I don't know, can y'all hear me well? Some of y'all may know me. I am a hometown girl, so I've been here since I was a little bitty thing. I am now the president of the Navasota Soccer League. I recently met with some of Parks and Rec along with city employees, and we discussed the different pain points that we occurred this past season. Not only did we discuss those pain points, but we also discussed how we can move forward in future seasons within the current parameters we have.
Taylor, can you just announce your name and address, please, first?
Yes.
Thank you.
Taylor Perry. I'm at 516 Grimes Street, just in case Santa wants to come. Other than that, after talking to them, we realized there's not a formal budget for Parks and Rec. So with there not being a formal budget for Parks and Rec, we're having to get pretty creative on how we can improve the field's conditions. So some of the things that we experienced was a lot of flooding, so we had to postpone several games or cancel games. Damage to the fields. We had people that wanted to do donuts out on the fields, and then we also experienced daylight savings. So around 5:15, we're cutting it, and most people don't get off until about 5 o'clock. So we had to cut our season really short. So with that being said, what we're asking is, with the consideration of the field/season fees that we'll have to pay, we would really like to have a collaborative effort with the city and coming up with ways that we can improve not only the overall field conditions so that we're not getting flooded out, possible fenced fields so that we can prevent any damage to said fields, lights that will allow for year-round play. As you know, many other leagues in the area, especially Brazos Valley, it's a year-round sport. And then bleachers so that we can allow more fans in the stands. So we have a very limited amount of bleachers. A lot of people are bringing their own chairs, or they're parking their trucks and pulling the tailgate down. What we would like the city to factor in is a budget, whether that is a special project or it's a collaborative effort between the league and the city, and we're more than willing to put our best foot forward and help fundraise and get whatever funds that we need, but we would really appreciate it if we could get help from the city, with it being the city's fields. Years past, we've been through several different organizations with the soccer league. It was Grimes County before, the city took over, and we're a baby organization. Last year was our first year, and boy, did we learn a lot. But in order for us to really give the children in the community the opportunity of this sport, we would really love to give them operating fields that they could play on year-round. So any support that we could get from the city would be much appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Staff report, Mr. Weeks.
Mayor and council, I'm going to have our HR director, Peggy Johnson, to come up. She's got a couple of introductions of new employees.
Good evening, Mayor Miller and the council members. Peggy Johnson, HR Director. I'm here to introduce our new city employees to you. Our first one will be Demontre Walter. Demontre, would you step up a little bit so they can see you, please, sir? Thank you. He was hired on November the 27th as a street and sanitation maintenance laborer in our Public Works Street Department. He is a native of Navasota, graduated from Navasota High School on May 30th, 2018. He comes hired with 1 year of experience with the City of College Station in the Public Works Street and Sanitation Department. He has experience laying base for the asphalt, operating skid steer, roller machine, and setting up work signs. So if y'all would help me to welcome Next, we have Mr. Adris Polk. He was hired on November the 29th as a street and sanitation laborer, maintenance laborer in our Public Works Department under the streets. And he is also a native of the city of, he is also a native of Navasota. He graduated in May of 2018. He told me that he likes to talk and participate in anything that's basketball related. He is a father of 2 beautiful girls whom have his entire heart. He hoped to make many friends and great memories here with the people here at the City of Navasota. So if y'all would welcome him. Next we have Nicholas Koski. He was hired on with the City of Navasota December the 1st, 2023, as a building official and a plans reviewer in our Development Services Department. Mr. Nicholas likes to be called Nick, and also he moved to Bryant, Texas in 2006. He began employment with the City of Bryant in 2008. He took on multiple tasks as a code enforcement officer, environmental officer, and pre-treatment coordinator. Transferred to Development Services in 2014, began his journey there as a building inspector, working his way up to a lead building inspector manager, managing field operations. He was able to obtain 18 International Code Council license, including the Chief Building Official, In 2021, the opportunity present itself, and he went to the city of Sealy to become their building official. While there, he obtained his Texas State Plumbing Inspector license. He began working on training to become a licensed fire marshal. His goal is to obtain the Inspectors 1 and 2 plus Plan Examiner license by mid-2024. In his free time, he enjoyed going to the coast and fishing, also traveling and exploring new places. He appreciates seeing his personal building projects come to fruition, and that's him building his own home. If y'all would help me to please.
Get all three of y'all lined up there so we can get a photo real quick of you, Miss Peggy.
Y'all work together, get together like you like each
Welcome aboard. Mayor and council, at this time, I'm going to ask John McKay, our graduate engineer, to come up and give you an update on our CIP projects.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this week is kind of, I show up on this agenda a couple more times later. If this week's more about kicking off the next round of CIP projects. Our big 2020 bond project is still ongoing. We've got probably about 3 miles worth of pipe in the ground if we're running off of rough numbers between water and sewer. So we're progressing pretty good there. Right now, the hurdle that we're facing is the tie-ins for the water from the old system to the new system, making sure that we've got all those connections in. Between the holidays, a little bit of weather, and these tie-ins, we're now looking at January for paving for that area. Really, that's kind of it right now. Most of our other stuff's either done or about to be awarded. So you'll see me back here shortly, unless y'all have any questions.
I have a question, and I'm sorry to ask you here. On McNair, when they did the cut for the sewer line,
Okay.
I don't know what was underneath the road, but there are huge rocks that came out of the road. Can we pick those huge pieces up?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get with them in the morning.
Okay. It's a
McNair
hazard.
and,
I think McNair and Water. Yeah. Say it again.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Well-
it's that concrete.
That whole cut, there's huge, rocks that are like this big, they're just laying in the middle of the road, that whole length of that cut.
Okay. I'll get with them in the morning. Anything else?
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Boards and commissions updates, but then I've got some other stuff under regular reports.
Okay. Any reports from council on boards and commissions? Okay.
So, Mayor, I want to make sure you and the public know that we will not have another council meeting at toward the fourth meeting will not be occurring. It's actually, be Christmas Day, and I doubt anybody wants to come for that meeting. In fact, city offices will be closed on Monday and Tuesday, December 25th and 26th. And also, offices will be closed on New Year's Day on January 1st, 2024. I also want to let everybody know that the Republic Services, they have released their schedule for the holidays, and so there will be no service on Monday, December 25th, or Monday, January 1st. And so for those 2 weeks, or each of those weeks, if you have trash, it'll be moved out one day. So if you normally receive your trash pickup on Monday, you receive it on Tuesday. If you receive it on Wednesday, you receive it on Thursday, and just keep going all the way later. It's a day later. Mayor, also wanted to let the public know that on December 8th, several of us, along with the mayor, attended the 2023 Solid Waste Management Awards Luncheon. At that awards luncheon, they passed out awards related to the 2023 Brazos Valley Community Cleanup Challenge, which we got several awards at. So Jose and of our Assistant Public Works Director, and Ryan, our Parks and Recreation Manager, both received awards for their volunteerism during those projects. And our Code Enforcement Officer, Eric, received an Environmental Leadership Award. And finally, the city of Navasota won honorable mention for that community challenge and received $1,000 for having the honorable mention.
Very good.
That's all I got, Mayor.
And I think Michelle put the sign out in the lobby in the display case today.
Awesome.
Very good. Okay, so it's coming up tomorrow, actually, on the 12th. There's going to be what they call a rattle session at the Navasota ISD Administration Building, and the public is invited. Wanted to make sure to mention that. It's at 6:30 tomorrow. It's primarily in regard to a large residential development that's going on in Brazos County in the Navasota ISD district. Possible bond that may be in the works for a new elementary school, so you definitely want to be out and hear more about that, because what I understand, the developer of that area is going to be in attendance as well. Thursday, the 14th, the High School Rattler Band Christmas Concert is at 6:30 at Brosig Auditorium, so come out for that. And this Saturday, the 16th, is the Wreaths Across America. It starts at 11 o'clock at Oakland Cemetery, and I'm sure many in the community had purchased wreaths, that they will be put out after the initial presentation at 11 o'clock on Saturday. The O. Henry Christmas at Navasota Theater Alliance continues. It's on the 14th, Thursday at 7, Friday also at 7, and then Saturday and Sunday at 2 o'clock matinees. And they have packages available to have dinner at Rail and Rye on the 14th and 15th. You can go to Navasota Theater Alliance.org, I believe, to check out more on that. And I'm going to ask Lupe to hit a video for me to present to y'all.
It's time, Texas, for our annual Community Challenge, a challenge that not only unites Texans from across the state, but helps us build a healthier Texas together. It's free, it's fun, it's 8 weeks, and a great way to kick off the new year. The It's Time Texas Community Challenge encourages Texans to become health champions for themselves and their communities. The healthy competition includes telehealth coaching, healthy recipes, virtual fitness classes, and recommendations on local trails and events for exercise, all free. Where you live shouldn't determine how long you live. Everyone, regardless of your zip code, deserves access to tools and resources to live a healthier, happier life. The Community Challenge does that. Now it's time to prepare for an action-packed 8 weeks of healthy activities and some healthy competition. Logging daily healthy habits such as drinking water, going for a walk, and eating a healthy snack earn points. And like any good competition, there are prizes. Track your progress, encourage fellow Texans, and discover healthy activities in your own community, all while earning points for you, your school, your organization, and your community. Commit to living a healthier lifestyle and be a health champion for Texas. It's Time Texas Community Challenge. Champions unite.
NavasotaTheater.org, and it's Theatre, Theatre. I always misspell that. But on this It's Time Texas Community Challenge, I just want to encourage the community to get involved. It kicks off on January the 8th, goes through March 3rd. And like they said, anything from drinking water to taking a walk, or just about any activity, you just log in, you go to the either App Store or Play Store, download the It's Time Texas Community Challenge, and you can go ahead and get registered now, and then starting on January 8th, you can log in those activities. And will be a competition between cities in Texas and also school districts. So there'll be a good, healthy competition.
Yeah, we'll be putting out some information on our social media site, so if you'll be looking on our Facebook page soon, we'll get all the information out and have those links for you to register.
So, oh, and from what I understood from the parade, obviously it was a very good success. I want to thank the Navasota Police Department and Lloyd and your crew. Put on a great event, and that got handed to Lloyd right as he started working with us. So kudos and thank you, Lloyd, for your efforts.
Public Works, Parks and Rec, and some of our utility folks, as well as the judge helped out too, so, and some of our directors. So it was a great participation. What I understand we were able to get some drone footage. It was probably our largest Christmas parade that we've had.
Yeah.
So.
And the train always seems to have its say in things. And I guess being a train town, I guess those things have to go along with it. So, but anyway.
It happens.
Item 5, discussion and guidance on a new proposed Parks and Recreation Department facility use policy. You want to give us a little background?
Yes, sir. So, kind of give you a little bit of background, Mayor and Council and public. During our fiscal year 2023 budget process, Council moved forward with hiring our Parks and Recreation Manager, and as our resident and our president of the Soccer Association, Ms. Perry got up and talked about we really don't have a recreation budget, and so there's a small budget that we just started out this year with Parks and Rec, and as moving forward with that, some of the strategic plan was to move forward with some programming and some athletic programs, and also looking at our facility rentals. And so, as outlined in strategic plan, goal number 3 is identify quality of life measures with overall goal of creating, enhancing, improving programming offerings within the library as well as the Parks Department. And as we started looking at that, we and staff started getting involved. We needed to look at facility use, and facility use is not just the Navasota Center; it's also for our all of our fields. And as Ms. Perry talked about, if they're going to be required to pay their portion, then the expectation is what they're getting. And so we provide athletic facilities for our baseball association. We provide it for the Mudcats at the swimming pool. We provide it for the soccer program as well as for the football. And over a number of years, Council, take this back, several years ago, Council put together an ordinance and said, first year leagues you need to pay X amount, next year you pay X amount. And so we really have not been enforcing a lot of that because there's not been a lot of funding coming through the organizations. But yet there's a lot of need for upgrades to the facilities. And so understanding there needs to be some type of compromise there, we need to look at what do we really need to be charging for our facilities on our outdoor facilities. We've had a couple issues at the pavilions, misuse of the rentals, and trying to get in touch with how are we going to move forward so that these occurrences don't occur. We put together some ideas of what do we call an event permit. So if you're going to have X amount of people at an event, if it's going to require alcohol, then you need to have security officers, and these aren't security officers are not ones that go buy a t-shirt that says security on the back. They're actually licensed police officers that are enforcing any illegal activities at these events, and we really haven't codified those in a policy. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, we have a number of programs that we currently have within the Navasota Center. And most of those programming are not held by, we provide them at the location, but they are not city-sponsored, meaning they're not city employees. And so something that legal counsel brought to our attention during the budget process is, hey, we need to look at what is the risk the city is going to assume for if anything happens at those events and there's not insurance provided. So staff started looking at just a holistic approach to a policy. And so that led to what you received within your packet was a very detailed policy. And at our November 27th meeting, we didn't have a lot of items on the regular agenda, so we put a workshop on that at that meeting. And one of those things was related to the policy. We talked about the goal and purpose and scope of that policy. We talked about interpretation and implementation of the policy, general facility usage, as well as prohibited usage, and then we got into, talked about some rates and fees and deposits. And that was about only 6 of the 24 slides, and council had already, we were all the way nearly to 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. So council asked for staff to postpone the remainder of the discussion until today. And so after further discussion with staff and meeting with some council members, it is staff's recommendation at this point, and so we don't have to go and rehash everything over and over, that staff is asking you to appoint a subcommittee of 2 council members to meet with staff during January to hash that out and to bring something back to you that's a little bit more solidified and a little bit more condensed.
I was going to say condensed, yes.
So that it's a little bit easier to follow, and so that is staff's recommendation for tonight is for you to appoint a committee.
Okay. I would like to, at this time, appoint Councilmember Fultz and Councilmember Peterson, if they are agreeable to serve in that capacity. Thank you. And Councilmember Gessner and Mr. Harris and myself, we can provide any input to y'all. Okay?
Provide them to me.
I pass it to you, I'm sorry.
Provide
Pass
them to
it
me,
you.
and I will communicate.
Pass it to the city manager first,
Yes,
and then
please.
it will be distributed.
I will
to them.
distribute it to you.
Okay.
Mayor, was there a second on that?
I don't
We don't have
I don't
to.
think you have a second
Not-
on
not
a
for
subcommittee.
Okay.
Appointment, so,
Okay.
Mayor Oral, yeah, not oil. Mayor Oral, there we go.
It was oral. Okay.
That's in here. Hey.
Item number 6, consideration and possible action to award a contract for the Pecan Lakes Gas Line Extension Project to LDC LLC in the amount of $778,700.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I have Mark here with Strand. They're the design engineers if any questions come up. But this is a project that had been in the works since they did the model for the gas system, really since 2021. It's a phase project. It's for extra gas out to the west side of town. Phase 1 would provide a redundant loop into Pecan Lakes. It would provide an extension from Fairway down over to the County Road 424 area. And then from there, it'd be working its way back, eventually ending in a new regulator station at the BFW in that area, with a extra route to get high-pressure gas into that side of town, basically shortening the path it has to travel, giving it a little bit extra oomph in that side of town. So we took in bids. Bids came in lower than expected, so by about the tune of $300,000. So, and the lowest bidder was the same person who we just finished up the Hollister gas regulator station. That contractor did a good job. They communicated well with us, and they came in as low bid for this project as well. So we'd like to award to LDC this project.
The bid that we have from H&B Construction, we calculated it different from their calculation, or you calculated it different?
Correct. So,
One of
yeah,
them is lower and one of them's higher.
Right, so when we initially opened bids, just based on the numbers that they had calculated, initially they were actually the low bidder, But after we went through and added up all of their unit prices, that's the difference in the numbers that you see.
Okay.
And this loop will not only help the west side of town, but could theoretically help the rest of us, right?
Oh, yes, definitely, especially that Foster area, in that area. So it's gonna be a new plug worth of, when you have these regular stations, they're almost like little, think of them like water towers, they're little spots of pressure for supply to come out of. And we're putting one of those over at the VFW, and it doesn't just feed one way, it feeds both directions.
So this past winter, when we noticed that our blue flames were turning orange when everybody was needing heat, that potentially will be fixed.
That's the goal with these types of projects.
Correct.
Is
And
to alleviate those.
the goal of phase one is to do that quick fix immediately, and then you'll be building the rest of the project to have that future capacity as well.
So that phase one, I'm gonna go ahead and say that one is concentrated on, Con Lakes.
So you say quick fix until, like, how long does that take?
So in the contract, we've given the contractor 30 days to complete phase one.
Okay, so this will be ready hopefully before
February.
any horrible inclement weather starts in winter.
That's the goal.
Good, yay, that's awesome.
Mr. Mayor, I move to award the contract to LDC LLC for the Pecan Lakes Gas Line Extension Project in the amount of $778,700.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Peterson to approve or award the contract for Pecan Lakes Gas Line Extension Project to LDC LLC in the amount of $778,700. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank y'all. Item 7, consideration and possible action to award a contract for the wastewater treatment plant, CIP Phase 2, rotor replacement project to Teal Services LLC in the amount of $225,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have Zach here with Lyle Engineering. They were the design engineers on this one. This was a project, it's been seen and known about for a while. So out at our wastewater plant, we run what we call 2 different racetracks. It's just, they look like racetracks, so we call them that. But at the end of the day, it's where the gunk gets actually processed. And one of the key parts of that is getting enough air and keeping it mixed up. So the state has rules on how big those need to be and how many of them you need, and a redundancy rule. So at the 95, we call it racetrack 2, but the one built in 95, we've had 2 of those rotors down for a while. This is putting those back into service. It's replacing the paddles on them to let them mix a little bit better, replace the motors on them, get them back up and going. We only had 1 bid received. The price came in about where we thought it was going to come in. And it's a person who we worked incredibly well with in the past. He's the one who's done our clarifiers. He's the one who's done the blowers. He's did the last rotors, the fine screen. He's done a spectacular job for the city. And he's a local guy out of Anderson. So we'd recommend that we go ahead and award this to get those rotors back up and running.
This is gonna make the operation more efficient, right?
Yes.
How much more?
It brings us into compliance with our permit, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Our loading is a little bit light. That's how we've been able to deal with this while we came up with the funding. But at the end of the day, we need to have these for compliance.
Maybe it won't make it so hard on the other motors.
Correct,
there.
correct.
Yeah.
Is it gonna cut down on our power usage?
Well, it's actually bringing on 2 more 50 horsepower motors, so it really won't cut down on the power usage. It's just
Okay.
the way they have it in rough numbers, every 1,000,000 gallons in that racetrack, you've got to have 100 horsepower or so worth of mixers. And so we have 3 50 horsepower mixers. You have to have a redundant one. So we're supposed to have all 3 of those up and running, and that's what this is aiming at.
Okay.
So during heavy loading days, it does give us the power to put in more air, mix it better. The other thing that it does do really good is instead of having one spot mixing around this racetrack, we can mix in different areas. So it's just like you sit there and hand mix in one side in a bowl. When you're trying to mix up a batter, you're going to end up with flour just sticking over here. Same thing. Every once in a while, you want to go mix over here and mix up that area too. Keep it all kind of mixed up and.
Make it a little easier on staff too, I'm sure.
Yes.
Not have to,
Mr. Mayor, I move to award the contract to Teal Services LLC for the wastewater treatment plant rotor replacement project in the amount of $225,000.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Mr. Gessner to award the contract for the wastewater treatment plant CIP Phase 2 rotor replacement project to Teal Services LLC in the amount of $225,000. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carried. Item 8, consideration of possible action to approve the first reading of ordinance 1037-23 to amend the fiscal year 23-24 budget to use $112,500 from excess unassigned fund balance for expenses related to emergency repairs at the wastewater treatment plant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So yes, earlier this year, the wastewater treatment plant unexpectedly lost both air blowers that feed oxygen into the sludge digestion basins. Just in case, I have John McKay here to answer the details. So the numbers.
Understood.
He can answer these questions better. So what we're requesting is for additional funds for emergency repairs. So we'd be moving $50,000 from professional fees. It had originally been budgeted in the FY 23-24 budget period to be used for an impact study. To move that into capital outlay, and also to increase lease equipment cost by $22,500, and increase overall capital outlay $140,000. So the net effect would be $112,500 to be taken out of unassigned fund balance. So if you look at the rest of your cover sheet, you'll see that estimated fund balance at the end of FY 24, which we're in right now, was estimated to be at $1,153,766. We're only required to have a 90-day fund balance, which would have been $523,653. So we had an excess of $630,000 and some change. So by using this unplanned amount of $112,500, it still leaves us with almost $518,000 in excess fund balance.
Would like to get understanding on something here. During the budgeting, you told us that we was just approving the bottom line, that we was not approving different departments.
Correct.
So why is this being brought to us?
So what we brought to you is all you're approving is the use of unassigned fund balance. We're telling you what accounts we're going to put those funds into. So it's a little bit different. That way you understand where the money's going. So what we're saying is we're not able to find $112,000 within our budget, within the current budget you approved. So with that, we need to go out and use unassigned fund balance. That's your leftover fund balance that we projected was going to be excess above the 90 days.
Okay.
And so we're saying we need to use part of that for this emergency repair.
Yeah, we're voting to amend the budget rather than the project.
And the reason where you're brought now, so I think we approved this like 2 or 3 months ago. We had cash, we had the fund, we actually had budget, but now that Mr. McKay brought to you this item right before this, it said we have the CIP, that's where those funds were being pulled from. So now I've got to come to you and say I've got to have the 112 to be able to now accomplish the emergency repairs, because now the budget that we were using is going to be used for the CIP project.
Clear as mud. Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Clear as mud.
Basically, we have excess fund balance.
Right.
And when you either have another revenue source or you want to use unassigned fund balance that wasn't budgeted, we have to come to council for a budget amendment. And so that's what we have before you, is a budget amendment, amending, increasing the expenditures. That's all you're doing, because there is no revenue coming in. So it's a one-sided item where we're saying, pull it from your checking account and pay and add to our expenditure budget. And we just, from staff standpoint, want to let you know where those funds are coming from. So before, it was like 160-something thousand for that project. And we're saying, staff went out and we found an error when we did the budget, the line item budget, when we did it on our side of 50,000. So if you net the 50 with the 160, then all we really need is approval for is 112.
So and just quickly, that's that blower that went out that I came at y'all a little while ago. We've been running off of a bumper pole air compressor, one of those 375, the big green Solairs, for a while, and we're going to have to keep running off of that until we get this blower in. It was about 5 months. Pardon?
For 10 months?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we did go ahead and project that in here to make sure that we've got those costs covered, as well as a little bit of space in case something comes up, like the electrical needs a small change order or something like that. So that's I'm pretty comfortable with that amount of money we're asking for.
Would the first reading allow them to go ahead and get the equipment ordered?
We've already got it ordered,
Okay.
because we used the budget from before.
Okay.
And by the time the second reading comes up in January,
I was gonna say,
we would not have spent any money. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Again, this is the first reading.
Is there a way in the future to have some sort of rainy day type emergency fund balance? Is there,
Well, we can
Is there a thing
we can do,
like
yeah,
that?
so we can do contingency funds. I just prefer not to do that. I just prefer to come to y'all when I have things like this to come up.
that's fine. I just didn't know if that made it easier.
I don't, I prefer to be more
Something hits the
transparent.
fan that you've already got okay.
We keep that, basically that is what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just not called that.
Right. I just come to you when I need it instead of budgeting for that to occur. Because when I budget for that to occur, since this is in the utility fund, that means the ratepayers have to pay for that whether we use it or not. So ideally, I don't want to do that. I would prefer, if we have an emergency come up and we need to use fund balance, that's why state law allows you to do budget amendments, is for these type of cases.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 1037-23.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Full, second by Ms. Peterson to approve first reading of ordinance 1037-23. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Thank you. Item 9, consideration of possible action on resolution 754-23, designating the persons authorized to sign checks and authorizing designated persons to access the firearm replacement fund bank account for certain purposes.
Mayor and council, before staff gets up here, I'm going to kind of tee this off a little bit. Chief Mize has came to us, and it's from a standpoint of putting together a program so that officers can put aside some money from their paycheck so that we can use those funds whenever they need to replace their service revolver or weapon. And so this is basically a gun buyback program related specifically for the Navasota Police Department. And so we're not asking you for approval of the policy, but because we're going to try to move forward with it. The idea is what you have before you is a resolution designating person authorized to set up the deposit account with our Citizen State Bank. And so that's what's being asked of you. But Chief Smile is actually going to walk through the program so you kind of understand why we're needing the account set up.
All right. Basically, the firearms that all the officers have were purchased 4 years ago with seizure money, and it was something, a first time opportunity we had to do for the officers. get out of the academy, it's kind of very expensive. You got to buy all your gear. So that is one good thing. And obviously hiring and bringing in people is when we purchase everything. It's a lot of money for the department to do that, and we use seizure money. So now when we get rid of firearms, a lot of agencies auction them off and do other things or sell them back to the officers. So that's what we're going to start doing. And it's also a large chunk. If we say it's $500, the officers have to come up with $500. But if they can slowly, gradually take it out of their paychecks every pay period, then it builds up into an account. When it comes time to replace our firearms, usually about year 5, they use that money that's in the account to purchase their firearm back. And that money there will then go towards purchasing the new firearms. So then that way we don't have to worry about the budget, hurting our budget very much, or drawing in more seizure money or whatnot like that. So that's all. We learned this from a couple of other agencies, how they did it. We had a department meeting. Everybody was on board. They actually were trying to up the amount so they can do it faster. I was like, no, we're stuck on 5 years. Because technology of firearms, they're changing, and the usage of them, the training and all that. That's kind of a memento they can have from, hey, this is my first firearm when I was in Navasota PD, my second one, and so forth. Like my dad and I've had different firearms, and I've always purchased mine, but this one, definitely buy mine and put it on the wall or whatnot. So that's kind of the program we want to start here, and just a big chunk of it will help our budget.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 754-23.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fultz, second by Ms. Peterson to approve Resolution 754-23. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10 is the consent agenda, which is the minutes of November 23 and municipal court report for November 23.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes and the municipal court report for November 2023.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Ms. Fultz to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, item carries. Item 11, City Council shall meet in executive session as authorized by Section 551.087 Texas Government Code for the purpose of discussion and deliberation regarding certain industrial district agreements, providing for the possible offer of a financial or other incentive to business prospects the city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in the city's designated industrial district, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations and associated matters. Shall also meet in executive session, Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property for the purpose of discussion and deliberation regarding the City of Navasota's potential acquisition of real property for city projects and purposes. Shall meet in executive session as authorized by Section 551.071 Texas Government Code for the purpose of consultation with legal counsel concerning possible revision of the variance granted to MNP Ventures LLC for an erected off-premises outdoor advertising sign located at 9530 Highway 6, Navasota. And finally, shall meet in executive session as authorized by Section 551.087 Texas Government Code for the purpose of deliberation regarding commercial or financial information that the city has received from a business prospect that the city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations and or the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect the city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations. And the time is 6:50. We will reconvene in open session at 8:52 p.m.
Do I have to put numbers on these, or just this?
So
Okay.
I got the numbers, so you'll tell me which one which one you're gonna do first, and I'll tell you what number it is.
Item 13 is consideration and possible action regarding real property for the purpose of discussion and deliberation regarding the City of Navasota's potential acquisition of real property for city projects and purposes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate, approve, and execute all necessary documentation for the acquisition of real property for city purposes as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. Gessner to approve item number 13. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 14. Consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to execute the industrial district agreements for the period beginning November 1, 2023 through October 31st, 2038.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the mayor be authorized to negotiate, approve, and execute all industrial district agreements concerning businesses located in designated industrial district, with the agreements having a term of 15 years from November 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2038.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. Fultz to approve item 14. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 15, consideration of possible action to authorize the mayor to execute a revision to the variance granted to M&P Adventures LLC for an erected off-premises outdoor advertising sign located at 9530 Highway 6, Navasota, Texas.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the mayor be authorized to negotiate, approve, and execute revisions to the variance granted to M&P Adventures LLC on May 10th, 2010.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. Gessner to approve agenda item number 15. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. And the final item of the evening, consideration of possible action regarding 1, commercial or financial information that the city received from a business prospect that the city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations, and or 2, the offer of a financial or other incentive to the business prospect. The city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations. There will be no action on that item. Seeing that's the last item, we are adjourned.